So today we're going to be using the Desmos calculator to graph quadratic equations. And then I want you to identify the vertex, the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, and state whether the vertex is a minimum or maximum point on your graph. So some of you probably used Desmos before, so you're probably pretty familiar with it. And we talked about graphing quadratic equations a long time ago, I think chapter 0 or chapter 1. But here's the standard form of a quadratic equation. We got y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is the standard form of a quadratic equation. So let me type in a quadratic equation for us to graph. Let's graph the equation. So if you want to graph an equation, you go up here and you just type it in. Y equals x. And then say you want to make it x squared. Go down here where you see like a keyboard, click on it, and then go over to the a squared, and it puts a square on your x. So I want y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. Here's my graph. Now, from the graph, I want you to be able to identify some points. The most important point I want you to be able to identify is the vertex. Okay? The vertex, if you guys recall, is the highest or lowest point on your graph. It's the minimum point or the maximum point on your graph. So the lowest point on my graph is this point right here. Okay? So the vertex is located at what? Where is the vertex located? I want to know the exact coordinates. Okay? I think if we click on this point here, that would tell us it. So it looks like the vertex is at 1, -3. If we just move the mouse over that point, it gives you the coordinates. 1, -3. Now, is this vertex a maximum or minimum point? Is it your lowest point on your graph or your highest point? What's our lowest point? So this is a minimum point. Now I want to find the x-intercepts. Okay, the x-intercept is where your graph crosses the x-axis. As we see from this graph, it crosses at 2 points. This point here and this point here. So let's just take our mouse and move it over that point to get the coordinates. So one of the x-intercept is -0.225, 0. The other x-intercept is right here. 2.225, 0. Okay? And then the last thing I want you to be able to do is identify the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where your graph crosses the y-axis. So right here. So the coordinates of my y-intercept is 0. What is that? I can't read it. Erase that. 0, -1. Okay? All right, let's look at another example. Let's say I want to type in a new equation. Well, first let me get rid of all the ink here. Computer's kind of slow. All right, so let's say you want to type in a new equation. Well, you just go up to your equation and hit backspace. I want to keep my x squared, so I'm going to leave that there. I want to graph this equation. Y equals negative x squared minus 4x minus 3. Okay? And then this identify your vertex, tell where it's a maximum or minimum point, find the x-intercepts, find the y-intercept. Okay? So the vertex is right here. So that's a maximum point. That's my highest point on my graph. The coordinates of that point is negative 2, 1. Alright, let's find the x-intercepts. So where does the graph cross the x-axis? Right here at these 2 points. There's 2 x-intercepts on this particular graph. So the first one is what? Negative 3, 0. And the second one is negative 1, 0. And then last, let's find the y-intercept. So where does it cross the y-axis? At this point. So the coordinates of the y-intercept looks like 0, negative 3. It's really easy. Basically, you're just going to get used to using Desmos, and I want you to be able to look at a graph and tell me the vertex, whether it's max or min, x-intercepts and y-intercepts. But let's do one last example here. So let me clear the ink again. Let's type in a new equation. Let's keep the x squared. Let's do x squared minus 8x plus 17. Right, so vertex is a what? A minimum point. What's the coordinates of the vertex? Where is it located? Let's see. Again, just move your mouse over where the vertex is. 4, 1. Now let's find the x-intercepts. Okay. So where does my graph cross the x-axis? It doesn't. Remember, this line right here is the x-axis. This graph here will never cross that line. So it doesn't have x-intercepts. You can just say there is none. And then let's find the y-intercept. So it looks like it's going to have a y-intercept, but we can't see it on the graph that we have right now. So let's just take a mouse and move this. See if we can't locate it. Looks like it's right here at 0, 17. So the y-intercept would be 0, 17.